Roguelikes are one of my favorite genres of video games. I could go on and on about the replayability, player freedom, but that's not what this video is about. Let's be real, roguelikes are such a cool concept for a video game. You gotta survive a bunch of waves of enemies while progressively gaining more power and getting insane weapons. It's basically COD Zombies mixed with idle games, I guess. And if you're anything like me, you're always looking for a new roguelike experience to fill that craving and tickle that little spot in your brain. So here's 5 kind of underrated roguelikes that you should definitely try out. The first game is Disfigure. Disfigure is probably the most underrated game on the list. You're plopped into this seemingly endless arena while you are constantly bombarded by hordes of centipedes, cockroaches, and coronavirus. But the thing that makes this game so unique is the vision of the player. Throughout your run, you need to be switching between 2 vision modes. A circular zone that shows around your player, and a cone-shaped one that allows you to see much further but less of what's behind you. And you need to be constantly switching between these two, as it's easier than you think for an enemy to sneak up behind you and end your run in 2 seconds. The game also has a bunch of weapons that you can choose from. You can go from a greatsword to a sniper to double katanas to a fucking minigun. But something I give huge props to the game for is the huge selection of upgrades you can select for each weapon. You got the elemental ones like fire and electricity, and ones that just spray bullets everywhere. And the upgrades have this berserk aesthetic going on, which is just fucking sick. But the coolest thing about the game is the price. It's free, and with frequent updates such as the one that came out on New Year's, where they released a whole new map with a bunch of new enemies, and even more recently they added a new revolver weapon and a bunch of new upgrades. So there's no better time to give Disfigure a go. Unfortunately though, this is the only free game on my list, so enjoy it while it lasts. Speaking of the list, the next game is BPM. Bullets per minute is the most unique game ever for a roguelike, hands down. And that's because this is a rhythm game. I guess there is also Crypt of the NecroDancer. But this is a first-person shooter. And so, everything you do has to be on the beat of the music. When you fire, you need to be on the beat. When you reload, you need to be on the beat. When you dash, you need to be on the beat. But something I greatly appreciate with this game is that when the player makes a mistake, they aren't insanely punished for just being bad at the game. If you make a mistake, all that happens is your multiplayer score is reset, and it stops you from achieving a flawless room clear. Also, because this is, well, a music game, the music fucking slaps. But if you do get tired of the normal music, you can just use your own custom music. For a music nerd like myself, this game is like a wet dream. But something even cooler is how the weapons work. The shooting and reloading and just all the animations feel so satisfying. And there's so many cool weapons to try out too. From the minigun that increases its fire rate like it's an EDM trap beat, to a fucking grenade launcher, it's just a grenade launcher. And to my personal favorite, the revolver. We need to insert each bullet into the chamber separately, and it is so goddamn satisfying. And remember, this is still a roguelike, so of course there's perks and upgrades which you can purchase. There's these little cauldrons that can sometimes be found in the corner of rooms that allows you to buy an increase to one of your stats, and there's these little shops with chicken merchants where you can buy weapons at. BPM is just such a unique game and one of the coolest roguelikes I've ever played, and even considering its mildly higher price tag, it is more than worth its price. Next, we have Post Void. And immediately, I'm sure you're thinking, what the hell is going on? Yeah, Post Void is not your typical roguelike. The only thing that really makes it a roguelike is the random upgrades that you can choose after completing each act, and the procedurally generated levels. That's pretty much it. There's no list of hundreds of unlocks or any extra characters or skins to strive for. There's just you, your weapon, and this little skull in your hand. The gameplay is much more linear than most roguelikes would be as well. It's really just holding W key and trying to hit your shots. The difficulty also increases after each stage by adding harder to navigate corridors and more enemies to encounter. But in return, you are rewarded with a reward. With these though, there is only a small variety to choose from. There's a few upgrades such as enemies exploding on death, bullets bouncing off walls, along with simpler ones. But with the weapons, there are even less variety. There are only 3 weapons other than the starting pistol. the shotgun, the SMG, and the knife. But each weapon doesn't seem to be better or worse than one another, so it really just comes down to personal preference. Now, usually roguelikes will have many skills and weapons, and in turn have builds that you can create to utilize synergies between abilities and weapons. But Post-Void does not have that. I mean, you can use the UZ with the bouncing bullets, which does work very effectively, or the shotgun with a bunch of reduced reload speed. But really at that point, you're just scratching the bottom of the barrel. However, this scarce variety is not really a negative at most times. It sort of makes the game more skill reliant rather than praying for good item RNG in other roguelikes. And this is just such a minimalistic approach for progression. And that's really what this game is, just a very minimalistic roguelike. And for a game with an art style as unique as this, the game is actually very readable when you're playing it. There's no fancy abilities to remember, simply walk, slide, and jump. And there's only a handful of enemies that you need to focus on, such as the James Bonds, the wall eyes, and the flashbang babies. Post-Void gives a nice mix between fast-paced FPS and abstract roguelike, and the artistic and minimalistic experience this game provides is truly unique, and for being less than $5, it most certainly is worth giving a shot. Next on the list we have Crab Champions. Crab roguelike. What will they think of next? Now first off, this game is just fucking dope, right? You play as a crab killing other crabs and creatures, but the best thing is how many insane weapons there are. There's only about 16 weapons to choose from, but each one is so incredibly unique and switches up your playstyle a whole lot. There's weapons such as a minigun, double barrel shotguns, laser pistols, and a fucking flamethrower. Crab with a flamethrower is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. They also have a deagle, but it's named Seagull, and it makes seagull noises when it shoots. Best game ever, 10 out of 10. Now, the game works as any other roguelike would. You go through numerous different stages, collecting items and gaining insane power while occasionally fighting elite enemies until you reach the final boss. Once you defeat the boss and take your crown, then you are the Crab Champion. Do you get it? But even for an early access title, the sheer amount of content already available is, well, astonishing. Along with the weapons previously mentioned, there are also a huge amount of abilities you can choose from before you start your run, with my favorites being the black hole and grappling hook. And there are also a bunch of melee weapons to pick from too. To unlock all of these weapons and abilities, you are given keys throughout your runs, with higher difficulties giving more keys. With these keys, you can trade them in for a random chance at getting any item. And for my love of gambling, this is perfect. And with the balance of no item being better than another, any item you unlock just feels like an addition to your already powerful collection. Also, this game has skins. And boy howdy, let me tell you how much I like customization in a video game. You can unlock these skins through simple achievements or harder accomplishments to grind for, but although they don't add a huge influence to the game, being just little cosmetics, it still is a nice addition to the progression and overall feel of the game. Also, I just want to add that the hub area of this game is simply fantastic. Similar to Deep Rock Galactic, a physical interactable main menu does wonders for immersion. Once again, this game is in early access, so there's so much more content to come, and the price of the game will rise once it leaves early access. So with the $15 price tag for this much content already, there's no better time to try it out. Come on, give it a go. The final game on my list is Vampire Survivors. And if you have not at least heard of this game before, then there's seriously something wrong. This game exploded shortly after its release in 2022, and it's clear why it did. I can make a whole video talking about this game and the history behind its development, but I'll simply cover the basics for today. Starting off, everything in this game is so simple and clear. You choose from a roster of characters, which each have their own starting weapon and passive skill. From there, you collect gems from killing enemies to level up your character, and then you get a choice between what weapon or ability you want. There are also chests that can drop from bulkier enemies, and this just gives you a chance at multiple level ups for your items. And let me say, these chests are some of the most satisfying gambling mechanics I've ever seen in a video game. This is why gambling is great, guys. Once you keep leveling up your weapons, you'll find that some weapons and abilities can be combined for a weapon evolution, which gives an insane buff. The main progression for this game comes from unlocking new characters by leveling up weapons to a certain level or finding secrets around the many maps. And there's even new gameplay elements such as hyper mode, hurry mode, and arcanas, and this just adds little upgrades to make it even more powerful. There's literally an insane amount of content in this game, but everything is still so simple to the player. Just follow the unlocks tabs if you don't know what to do, and you won't even believe the price. literally less than $10. And the DLC costs even less than that. Did I mention Among Us? Just get your credit card now. So yeah, that's my list of 5 roguelikes that you should try. The YouTube thing, yep, that's important. And oh yeah, I stream on Twitch every weekend, so go check that out if you want to see me play some games live. But yeah.